Yeah, we don't anticipate Malik being available for this weekend um, with the issue that he's got. So he'll be missing this weekend.
How serious then is that issue with Bristol Rovers, say, on the horizon?
Yeah, listen, again, Andy, we can see how he is, but definitely the injury that he sustained was more of a precaution. So we'll have a look at him over these next 48 hours, I would say, not 24, 48 hours.
Right. Is with him is that a recurrence of an addition to previous injury problems, or is it something completely different?
Completely different, yeah. Just
Right.
completely
What's happened
different,
to
yeah.
him?
Just no, just a little another muscle injury, but we're assessing it really, and we've given it an initial assessment. But obviously, with these things, we just want him to settle down further to sort of determine. But at the moment, he said he feels better, which is good. It's always a good sign when the individual says he feels that one. So we'll see.
Reece James was an impact injury. To what extent is he injured right now?
Yeah, Reece James was an impact injury, and Reece James's injury is going to keep him out for some weeks. It may see him not really feature, um, until probably the back end of the season, really. So that was an impact injury, a tackle, which you can understand is contact. So you get that in games. It's part and parcel of it, and it's something that we accept.
Is that an ankle injury or something? What's damaged?
What he done, Andy, he went in for a tackle. It kind of opened up his groin, so he sustained the injury impact to his groin. Really, it was just a sheer impact of it, really, which two players committed to the ball, and of course for Reece, he just come off a little bit worse.
Is there an update of any kind with regard to Byers or Windass and their potential for playing?
Yeah, George is obviously with Josh. We're always hopeful and expectant with Josh. That's the one that we're hopeful for. With George, is probably more longer really. With George, as I said, with George's was a muscle injury. So with George, we can't take the risk with George with that being around the hamstring area. But with Josh, we're very just treating its symptoms really. And as I said, with him, if the symptoms improve, sort of within a day, he can get back to training literally the next day.
Is everybody else after the match the other day okay?
Yeah, all good, Andy, and
Yeah, at the minute, yeah.
yeah,
We've not
all
got to
good.
Saturday yet.
Yeah, and we just get ready for tomorrow. The group's trained well. There's been a real another good solid week in terms of them. There's still the atmosphere with them is really good. We've had a good solid week, and the messages have been clear. The work rate's been there. So yeah, we get ready for another tough game tomorrow.
I realise this might sound like a stupid question given the fact that you're top of the league right now, but how much better off do you think the season might have been were it not for quite an unhealthy list of injuries this year, regardless of how they've come, whether they've been impact injuries, a bad challenge, etc., or something else along the way, that, barely a week goes by without something else to discuss.
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose our season as probably as good as it's probably been. It's always been blighted by an injury concern or a strain or somebody not being available. But what we have shown is a great deal of adaptability really to the situations, and we're so pleased that we've worked in the manner that we've worked this season, in where players can sort of deputise in positions, and there's been that level of continuity coming from it, Andy. So we're in a position that we think that okay, it's happened again, but we've certainly been adaptable to it. As we was adaptable at the times when both players come off on Monday. We had ready-made people that was able to step in and do a job, and we feel that if we are to progress and continue this season, we think that the group's going to keep constantly getting called upon, just because the way the season's gone, and it's been a tough, grueling season, as we know that they do come, and you at this stage of the season you do get your knocks, you do get your injuries, you do get your suspensions, and it's just being ready and adaptable for that, and the players have done that, and they'll show that again tomorrow.
does it make you think about recruitment? Not volume necessarily, but types of players maybe you get in, and the forensic way in which football clubs look at a player's injury record before they sign them. I appreciate if it's an impact injury, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
But it's just the volume of them.
Yeah, and sometimes as well the speed and intensity of the game. You got to take that into legislation as well. In terms, the game's quicker, and while ever that's going on, the speed and the thought and the patterns of the players, and they're moving at real high velocity out there, and split decisions, impact, strains, repeated exercises that they're expected to do over a level and recover to go again. So all those kind of things you got to take into consideration. The pitch density, what do I mean by the pitch density? In the hardness of the pitches. Some pitches are softer, some pitches are harder than others. So all these kind of characteristics go into a game that from the naked eye you might not see, but I'm just giving you some of the parameters that we have to deal with and the players have got to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So you can never pinpoint it to one specific moment, but there's many components that you can do, but what you have to do is just be adaptable to it. So going back to the question of recruitment, yes, of course, you do have a look at the recruitment base of players. I said to you in the summer, looking at the recruitment, it was looking at recruitment of identifying players for a primary position. But honestly, Andy, we've worked with them on a secondary and a third position really with them, because getting your experience in how a league season can be, you have to have players that you can adapt. And if we all had an open checkbook, we'd go and sign 3 players per position in the best possible way, but it doesn't work like that way. So we understand that, and it's just being adaptable to the cause, and we've had to show that level this season, and the players realise, because I've had open conversations with players about playing different positions and showing the individual how he can play that different position and be effective for the team.
It's been interesting to see how it's all panned out. So psychologically, how important was Monday's victory? Confident victory, you were at them right from the off, and the goals came, and the just rewards were there, just to maybe exercise any kind of demons, frustrations or anxieties of the previous 5 or 6 matches.
Yeah, and that was it was really good, and of course from a psychological point of view, it's always good, Andy, to win a game, whether it's home or away. But to give you some insight into the game, Cheltenham, we felt that, the 2 goals that was, given away by us, we didn't feel Cheltenham really worked hard to get those and create them. There were mistakes, but what was the positive from Cheltenham? The way the team responded and got back in the game. It would have been very, very easy to drop off and feel sorry for ourselves. And actually, when you finish the game, we finished the game very, very strongly from that point, from getting back into the game. So we felt that as a positive. We took the game into the Lincoln game at home, and we didn't feel we did a lot wrong in terms of it. Lincoln fashion had 1 or 2 chances, but we didn't feel we'd done a lot wrong in terms of, the players 6 weeks before that come away, it's a 1-0 win, a solid win. But such was the time that we were going through that we 1-1, so we didn't feel we did a lot wrong. So again, from a positive, I'm talking about the group conversation. That was the case against Lincoln, and certainly against Oxford. Well, we all saw the Oxford game, and we saw what the outcome was of the Oxford game, which we don't want to comment too much on about. But again, I thought it was a good, solid away day performance, and again on another day we come out of there at worst 1-0, or we add to the goals that we'd scored, because we had 3 really glorious chances just after half time. So again, we come back into the Accrington game looking at all those positives. So actually the mindset of the players, even though on paper they hadn't bagged those 3 points, there was solid draws and points. And of course then when you follow it up, Andy, with a comprehensive win at home, it kind of makes those draws look a little bit better, as does the 3 points at home. So from that point of view, of course, Andy, it's wonderful to get the win, but I suppose in the manner the boys get. But if you look at the performance and you analyse the performances over 3 games, you see there's been a steady upward movement in the performances of the players, and credit to them. And that's why I said to them at the time after the game, it was about managing the environment, but also I extend that to the fans because there was a real good energy in the place. So despite the supporters probably feeling a little bit, oh, I'm not sure, they were really behind the team, and that's why I just said I was really pleased on it, because the energy was from the supporters, the energy transmitted onto the pitch. We managed to get the 3 points. We turn the page. There's a different game tomorrow. We get ready for the game tomorrow, which will be a complete different game.
Yeah, and Burton aside, and a club you know well. So the current crop then, what's your analysis of them?
Yeah, listen, I think Dino's brought wonderful solidity in the football club. He's steadied what you'd call probably the ship there, and he's bringing continuity there. The players know what's required of him and what he wants. Burton Albion is a former club of mine. I understand that the chairman there in Ben Robinson and what he's brought to not just the football club but to the whole community of Burton. So in terms of that, they're a solid club at this level. There's no real airs or graces. Everybody buys into it, and they're very, very solid. And on the pitch, they're a hard unit to crack, and you can see that they've edged and moved away from the relegation places. And though they'll probably feel mathematically they're not clear of it, they'll still be fervent and disciplined in terms of their approach. So we expect a real tough game again tomorrow. The pitch and the arena's tight, we know that. And we bring the energy with the supporters that we're going to bring down there tomorrow. We sold out the away end again, which is credit to all the Wednesday supporters. And we look forward to seeing them there, but I expect a real tight game. A real energetic game on the pitch, and just two teams at each other right from the start.
Best of luck. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Andy. Cheers. Good to see you.
And you too.
Afternoon, Dan. How are you doing?
All right, Joe. Yeah, good, thank you.
Good stuff. You said the other day that you weren't looking to use Michael Smith unless you really had to. Is with the news about Malik, is he available now for this weekend if you needed to start him, for instance?
Yes, he is. He's available, which is good. With Smudge, as I said, it was more giving him that little bit more time needed, and that was the case certainly for the game on Monday. But obviously, when we move 4 or 5 days on, 6 days on, he's in a far better position now. So with Malik injury and that, it's nice that we've got Smudger available to deputise.
It must be doubly pleasing to see how well Pato did after he came on the other day after this news as well.
Really good, and as I said, he's completed the level of volume in training, and you can see the energy that he brought us. And I just thought it was a welcome addition at half time. In terms of his performance, and he contributed to Dennis's second goal. He won the corner and contributed to the second one. So a great substitution appearance from him in terms of the subs coming off and having an impact in the game. And Pato certainly had that last week.
You had the kit sponsors dinner recently. How important is it for the players to have that connection with the fans, especially, I suppose, going into what's coming up in the next few weeks? Yes,
absolutely important, really, that connection with the supporters and none. So we had a great evening. I think it was on Tuesday. Real good evening. Great to see all the sponsors. Thankful for all of them for the commitment that they're giving to the players, the team, and the football club. And we had it was good to sit on the table with them and have that individual 1v1. And they see the boys as players from the pitch from 100 yards or whatever it may be, and can make a perception of the players. But when you're up and close and personal to them, they get to really understand the players, as do the players understand their commitment to the club and what it means to the club for them. So it's a two-way situation, really. But it was a great evening, and it was lovely for me to meet them all, the sponsors, not just my sponsors, but some of the other players' sponsors as well. And for me to thank them for their support towards the club and for what they're giving us this season. And I was able to do that individually, as do I extend it to the wider supporters as well,
Yeah, I suppose it's nice to have everybody there as well. I saw even the youngsters like Ryan Galvin and Kieran Brennan were there for the evening as well.
Important for them, as young pros, and the responsibility they carry as well, Joe. Even though they're young pros and they probably might not feel they've probably got as much game time, but the supporters do know of them, and it's great for them to meet them up close and personal, and for them to have the two-way conversation. It's all part in building them as hopefully what will be seasoned pros as well, really. And they'll remember nights like this. It's not just about on the football pitch, but it's what they bring to the supporters off the pitch as well, really. So pleasing for them. And as you know, with me, Joe, with the team, we're back in the community, we're back in amongst our supporters. So when you get evenings like this, it's important for the whole squad to turn out.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've been promoted before. How important is mentality at this part of the season as much as the performances on the pitch?
Yeah, mentality is it's always, even more so now, really, at the start. You know, we since the start of the season, when you get to pre-season, you get to set the sort of the ethos and the culture and how you're going to go about it. The biggest thing what you do, Joe, is making sure that you're keeping that level of consistency, and that consistency don't drop. It can be hard, but that's part of your job in terms of doing that. And it's about that, because the reason why I'm saying that is because outside influences can always come in at any given time, to make sure that you're keeping that level of consistency, and going from there. And what I mean by that, the example is the classic travel then was going out to Portsmouth and that got disrupted. It's very easy for you to look at outside influences allowing you to impact you for what you're doing inside. But it's working to the situation and making sure that you're maximising everything you can in that situation. So when I say it can be hard, it's part of your job. It's as these hurdles come, it's about working through it as best as you possibly can, and that's what we'll continue to do, Joe.
With all that work, you know, the pressure, the stress of people getting injured, people being unavailable, do you actually get a chance to enjoy any of this, or do you only get to enjoy it when the job's done?
I think you accept it, Joe. I think you have to, if you're going to go through a full clean season and have all your players available, then you've done something incredibly right, really, in terms of doing that, because the law and averages will say it's few and far between. So it's just about, you know, being adaptable and making sure that you have, and you know, these situations, you kind of play them over in your head from a psychological point as an individual. In terms of it, I'm ready to be adaptable, and again tomorrow you got to be ready to be adaptable even while the game's going on. So these are situations that you kind of accept and you embrace, certainly as a manager, in terms of the potential sort of pitfalls or hurdles that you come up against, and sometimes it's working to the best of your knowledge at that time. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. It's just being adaptable to the cause and the situation.
Yeah, I mean, with obviously there's still a long way to go in terms of games, but Barry's been nominated for Player of the Season, you've been nominated for Manager of the Season. Means nothing if you don't get what you want at the end of it. But is it testament to the work that's been done that you two are both among the top three in your roles in the league?
Certainly for me, and I speak on behalf of Baz as well. I'm sure me and Baz will just continue doing the work that we've done at the start. I'll leave that down to you, Joe, and other outside people that will determine how we've done over the course of the season. To speak individually and on behalf of Baz, we're just working here extremely hard for Wednesday. You know, we both committed to the football club, as is the rest of the group of players, but we're speaking on behalf of us two because our two names have been nominated. But we just work hard for Wednesday and challenging ourselves as well, Joe, to be better, because if I can be better or Baz can be better as a team, surely it makes Sheffield Wednesday better, really, in terms of going forward. Now, if that's acknowledged outside of it, fine, but our commitment's very much to the club. It's nice to get the nominations, but honestly, Joe, you know my mindset and focus, and Baz's mindset and focus is just to focus here at Sheffield Wednesday. And even though things are where they are, there's areas that I look to that I think need to improve. There's areas to Barry Bannon's game that I think needs to improve. There's areas to his game that I think he's shown wonderful strength. And there's areas to his game from a psychological, physical, emotionally point of view that that I look at him to try and help him be better than what he is, and that's my job really in terms of that. In return, to make him better, it challenges me to be better at what I'm doing and the messages that I'm giving him. So as long as that's happening, then there's lots for me to learn still going forward.
I know you've touched on injuries a fair bit. I just want to ask about Michael Ekwa. Do you still sort of foresee keep him back on the pitch before this month's out, possibly?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, he's back in training with us now, and as the days go by, he's just getting fitter, better, stronger, football-specific movements, being reactive to, the players in training. He's back in with the seniors, so yeah, he's making wonderful progress, and as you know, he's got wonderful experience and knowledge of the game. His reading of the play is exceptional. I think it's one of his big strong points, really. So yes, I expect him to be back in the fray before the end of the season.
And are we talking possibly in the next couple of games at all, or is that a bit too soon for him?
Yeah, I wouldn't discount the next couple of games, Joe. He's very much back in the ascendancy, and as I said, yeah, he's back in the fray, and he's feeling good. There's been no reactions to him, so as the days go by, he's feeling stronger.
Excellent. Just lastly from me, Josh Chapman and Tapuadzai had to be taken off in an ambulance the other day. Obviously sounded quite worrying. What's the situation with the two of them?
Yeah, both sustained injuries. The injuries at the time we thought they were really severe injuries. But as it's worked out, and I heard in the week that both injuries, even though they're still bad injuries, was not as bad as what they could have been and was expected from before. So even though they're injuries, it's a small consolation in terms of both players were okay. Both of them were in complete discomfort, and as you know, we had two separate ambulances. I had to come for them to take them to the hospital, but after being stabilised and that and settling down over the last couple of days, both are okay. One was a ligament injury, other one was a collarbone.
Yeah, but so they're serious, but not as serious as you originally feared.
Yeah, we thought when I heard the injuries, what both of them had sustained, it was going to be a real lengthy spell. Even though both of them are going to be out for a little bit of time, the injuries are not as worse as what they are, if that makes sense, Joe. Hopefully I'm explaining that right.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, Darren. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Joe. Cheers.
Darren, how's it going?
Afternoon, Alex.
I can see you're absolutely loving talking about injuries, so I'm just going to do the last couple. How's Fizz getting on?
No, Fizz is fine. Fizz is okay. He's back in now. He's trained, so he's okay. He's fine. As I said, he just had a little bit of a knock on the top of his knee, but now he's back in, and he seems pretty fine. He's moving well.
Good stuff. Not spoken about Jack Hunt for a couple of weeks. What's the latest with him? Because it was a case of seeing how things settle down as to whether he might be able to play a part between now and the end of the season.
No, Jack Hunt's still injured. Obviously, it was a sort of a calf injury with Jack, so he's still injured, but he's not back out on the pitch yet, so he's still going to be out until probably he gets back on the pitch. Is probably when I can probably give more of a prognosis, but at the moment, he's still in with the medical team.
Great stuff. Okay, no more injury questions, I promise. Talk to us about it's something you've spoken about quite a lot in terms of a low block. Now, this is the question that we get from the fans. Is that a newfangled word for parking the bus, or what are the intricacies maybe that our untrained eyes don't see in terms of a low block? What can you explain to us about that?
Yeah, so a low block, I suppose probably, one or two of the supporters can use the phrase as parking the bus, meaning that teams will just set up and probably go with a 5-4-1, or it can be like a 4-5-1, those kind of aspects, and the emphasis of it is not committing too many bodies forward. And what they do with the low block is they sit with a certain amount of meters from their own goal to condense the space, so there's no space. So they're happy for you to keep the ball in front of them, but anything getting up and beyond them, they're just going to sit in and get the numbers behind the ball. The tactics behind that is to frustrate. The tactics behind it is to counter-attack you and get up the pitch and just bring a complete afternoon of frustration. The tactics behind it is mentally to get you to commit more bodies forward, so that when you do commit more bodies forward, it leaves your spaces open for them to attack. And And there's nothing the matter with that, Alex. It's each team to their own prerogative. And if teams feel that they want to come and not entertain you, that's their prerogative. You've got to find ways and means of trying to get in and around it and try and break it down. That may come in open play. That may come via a set play. So those are the things really that I would use the terminology as a low block. Some might call it sort of parking the bus, but I would imagine in terminology both would probably mean the same thing. I'm just giving you what a low block would mean in my context and terms, just some of the pointers that teams may do and are successful from it. You know, I've worked with many managers that's formed a low block in the Premier League, and it's worked, and they've made a complete successful career out of it and been very, very successful to this day, really, and there's nothing the matter with it.
Do you foresee a low block at Burton tomorrow?
Not sure. Possible, but I'm not sure really. They'd have worked on their aspects for the game as we've worked at ours. Whether it's a low block tomorrow or not, who knows. People said that Accrington Stanley may have come and given it a low block, and they came to us on Monday and played an open game and got after us and really went on the front foot, where probably one or two would have said, oh, they're going to come and park the bus or so-called low block, but it weren't the case at all. So tomorrow, who knows what can be tomorrow. You know, all we just know is we're coming up against a team that's going to be competitive, and we know that we got to be the best version of ourselves really to continue moving forward.
Are the wide players particularly important when you're coming against that sort of tactic?
Absolutely, yeah. The wide players are really, really important because they can offer you so much going forward, but also at the same time they can offer you the opportunity to not be countered. So really, really important, because with a low block and that you can get certain width to your play, but also at the same time they've got the ability to unlock that low block with an individual bit of brilliance. And if you eliminate one of the opponents, you create an overload. Once you create the overloads, that's a massive pendulum in your favour. So there's always a wanting and a trying of trying to do that really when you come up against a low block. But it's good for us as a team and me as a manager, as part of the game and learning and developing the game, that those things you will face and come up against, and those type of things you've got to try and outmaneuver, outfox, and get these teams in positions where you're going to expose that. You know, there's many attributes to us this season in our recruitment process. Looking at last season when teams in the low block with us, certainly here at Hillsborough, that I think we've recruited this season to, when we do face that, we can unlock it in different ways. And I think this season, from Sheffield Wednesday's point of view, you've seen many, many different goals. You've seen many different dynamics and strings to our belt, really, in terms of how we've scored goals and how we've played games. I don't think last season we've been so much one-dimensional team. We've been very, very adaptable in our approach with games, and I think there's been many different ways. You've seen us this season win games and approach games in different ways. And that's because the tactics call for that, but also the recruitment process of players is, if you're recruiting them in, you've got to use them for situations like this, really, and I think that's what we've done this season.
Great stuff. Stepping away from the sort of low block chat, how important has Marvin been this season? He might be one of the players that doesn't get shouted about so much, but he's always there and he's always contributing, and his numbers are pretty consistent.
Yeah, and credit to you, Alex, for seeing that, really, because while we don't want to shout about individuals, we talk about the team. Marvin has been that, and you know, it's clearly identified for Marvin. His contribution to the team's been good. Marvin, when you look at Marvin physically, it's credit to him, the way, the position he plays, his big numbers, his big output numbers. And while I can't reveal the numbers online here, from a physical point of view, to let the supporters know, they put out big numbers, these boys, in terms of their physicality. And yes, it's his job, and yes, it's what he does, but still within it, I'm giving you the finer details in terms of what he does. And of course, his offensiveness for what he gives for the team, and his quality and his composure, that when he gets into those threatening positions in the final third, opposition third, he more picks the right pass His contribution of goals has been really good, and for somebody, he's got a wonderful calmness and composure on the ball, and that's what you expect when you get your left footers out there. We always say with left footers, there's always a future for left footers in the game, because they just bring an air of elegance to their play, and Marvin certainly is that. So long may it continue. I've spoken about Barry Bannon, about him improving his game. Marvin's somebody that, even at the experience age he has been, we've worked on Marvin's game really, and yeah, he's shown a level of consistency over the last couple of years, I'd say.
Yeah, good stuff. Joe sort of mentioned it there, but Kieran Brennan and Ryan Galvin back sort of in and amongst it at the training ground. First of all, has Kieran had his operation, and how's he getting on?
Yeah, Kieran's had his operation now, so he'll be back for us in pre-season, which would be good to have him back in pre-season. We'd have liked him to continue playing and getting pass up towards that 40 game mark, and then coming back, because what happened is physically, without him subconsciously knowing it, he'd have grown. He's got a wonderful footballing brain on him, so to add that to his physicality would bring him a bridge closer, because we are looking for him to be in and around it now, certainly at the start of next season. Ryan Galvin's recovered. Ryan Galvin will play in the under-23s on Tuesday. He'll play there, and all being well, he's still contracted on the Maidstone. He'll return back to Maidstone, and all being well, he'll complete the final 2 games of their season, probably against Notts County and Chesterfield, if all being well. And then he'll return back to us, having completed his loan. But again, he's somebody that I saw a difference to him in training, a confidence with him, and this is what these loans do to the younger players. They go away, they play games, they come back, they just seem to have that air of maturity and that belief, because they step back into the training ground here at Sheffield Wednesday, and they know how we work, but they're able to show that level of maturity to their game, which is good really, and I've seen that in Ryan Galvin already really. So that's his plan, to go back next week with them and join back up with them, and then return back to us towards the end.
Great stuff. And this exposure, these few weeks, in Kieran's case, not necessarily on the pitches, but being around you, being around the players that can only stand them in good stead, I guess, for pre-season and staking their claim.
Yeah, absolutely, and just when I look at them and stand with them and have that one-on-one with them, just the posture, that the bodies that they hold, it's just completely different. They don't see it, but I see it straight in them. So from my perspective, and what I want from the loan in terms of them going out, is absolutely tick the box, and it's something that I'll always go down, Alex. Me being a former loans manager at one of my previous clubs, and that I know the benefits of a loan. So therefore, as a manager now, sending these younger players out to get them that loan experience is vital, and getting our under-18s to step up to our 23s and get exposure to players that's a couple of years older than them, more physically demanding. The games ask more of them. That's for their development. The 18s coming through, and then the 23s, if they can get a loan out there to go into men's football and play that, then there is a wonderful development process in that. Obviously, they've got to be good enough for it, but there is a good development process in it, because the aim is to get them back in and around our first team, and contribute and develop our younger ones coming through, and we don't miss the boat and keep them too long in our 23s that they become stale and stagnant.
Good stuff. Joe sort of touched it there with whether you're able to enjoy the run into a season such as this. I think everyone's aware of the hours that you put in and how hard you work. Do you allow yourself any time to decompress a little bit in between matches and in between training sessions, and how do you go about that sort of self-care and just maybe unwinding just a little bit?
Yeah, I can do more probably, but it's finding that time really to find for yourself to really do it. But I can do more. I should be better. I should be more, Alex. I should be better, if I'm honest, really. But you have that enjoyment in the role as well, if that makes sense, really. So I think I probably do find a bit of enjoyment in the role, even though you don't detach yourself from the role. There is that really. I'll give you an example. On Wednesday, I had all these ideas in my head, but I wanted to give it to all my staff, but I find myself stopping myself because I've got all these ideas what I want to do on Thursday, but I didn't want to give it to the staff, because if the staff has their day off, they need to decompress their minds and body to rest, to energize to go again. So it was like, I'm going to give it to them on Thursday morning, but really I wanted to give it on Wednesday, but they got their days off with their families. So you're having to control yourself to like do that, and that's something that I've learned as a manager, because before I used to outpour it on them and pick up and ring my staff on the day off, but I got to remember that they've got their families as well as so it's learning to do that. But it just goes to show that even on your day off, you're thinking of these things for Thursday, but you're controlling yourself, because you want to give them to your staff and you're part of a team, but you're still part of it is giving their rest. So it's keeping them fresh as well, really, to give their output on the team. So just one of the examples.
I've heard that maybe, as you just explained there, day off isn't necessarily a day off for you, and you can sometimes report to Millwood Road and all the rest of it. I mean, it must be exhausting from a human point of view, especially at this stage of the season.
Yeah, it's good, because as well, when everybody's out the building, you're upstairs in your office, you get a cup of coffee for yourself, you sit upstairs, and it's probably myself and one or two of the maintenance team and the secretary, probably Debbie's doing her work, and probably the academy manager Steve's in doing his work, and you just get that calmness. The building's not got 100 people running through it, and you get some thinking time. You just get some thinking time. You sit there, you get the computer open, you're looking at the board and everything else, and you just get that little bit of thinking time. And it might just be for an hour or two here at Middlewood Road, just to get that clear thinking time and have a chat with one or two that you don't get the opportunity to. So, and that's what I mean in terms of, even though you might get a day off and you come in on your day off, you still got me resting even though you're working, because you've not got that volume of people and that intensity on that day that you would have in the week in training. But still, I agree, there is things that you could probably do to come away from it and give yourself, I suppose, that mental break away from the training ground. I'm working on that. I am working on it. It's an area to the job that I am working at for my own personal health, really, in terms of how it goes along. But at the moment, I'm young enough, I'm strong enough, so I'm cracking on.
Good stuff. Really interesting. Thanks for that, Darren. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Cheers, Alex. Thank you.
Right, Darren, you okay?
Yeah, are you, Ricky? You all right?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just to touch back on injuries, just on Reece James, did you say there's a chance that he might be back before the end of the season then?
Small chance, Ricky. Small chance. So we'll see.
Yeah, and if that's not, if that doesn't prove to be the case, I mean, how big a blow is that? But also, how much of an impact has he had? Because he's had a really good season, hasn't he, on loan?
Yeah, real. He's a certain player that I can talk about in terms of when recruiting a player in him having a primary position, but in being adaptable. We've seen Reece James come in, and he's people associate him as a left back, left wing back, but he's played on the left hand side of defence. And you've seen me play him in midfield, which you saw me playing at previous club where I was at in Doncaster, in playing in midfield and playing at that base and controlling the base. It brings a natural balance to our team, and it's one that, when you've suffered injury in that position, he's been adaptable to that. But not only been adaptable, Ricky, he's contributed in the positions that he's played. So to lose him at this stage would be a bitter blow, but we understand the situation, and we've seen, Jaden Brown step in and contribute to the team, and so we feel we've got adequate cover there on that left-hand side.
Just in terms of the injuries, I mean, it's been quite a common theme for it to be muscular injuries. I know Reece's isn't, but is that a concern, the amount of injuries that are muscular, and is it something that you're kind of planning to investigate and kind of drill down as to why it's happening a lot?
You can do, but again, Ricky, like I explained before, we talk about the speed of the game, the volume of the game, the travel, the pitch densities. Ricky, I'm even going to say the boots that the players are wearing now. I mean, goodness me, I look at the boots now, and literally the boots are just gone like full circle from what I've known them to be and what I used to play in. So you're looking at even things like that, really, the boots, really, that, you know, you might think the boots, what they wear. Yes, the boots. And in terms of these injuries, and while, you know, unless you break it down and do an absolute spend fortunes and do like a check on all these aspects of it, there's too many areas to cover. What you try and do is make the players as physically conditioned as they possibly can to withstand all these. But even though the players can be ready and fitness and physically ready, sometimes there's hidden things that you just can't legislate for. And Reece James is perfectly fit, just an impact injury, just one of those things really. So there's too many areas, but we'll have a look at it. But there's too much to really identify what would be the particular point.
Yeah. Obviously going on to tomorrow then, if you get a point tomorrow, you actually match last season's points record with obviously 4 or 5 games left. I think MK Dons finished third on 89 last year, which is obviously, you know, ridiculous really. Can you see that happening again? Because you look at the numbers yourself, Plymouth and Ipswich have got, you know, all in the high 80s. It does have that feel as though it's going to be one team missing out despite nearly getting 90 odd points.
Yeah, I suppose we can all summarise and look and make certain predictions based on the season thus far up until this point, and the points tally that these ourselves and so-called clubs have got, and based on the form guide, potentially where it would lead to. But again, Ricky, I must illustrate to everybody that even though you make your summary of it, at this stage of the season can be very, very different really in terms of it, because I suppose people can almost see the finishing line. People start working out what's needed. Teams at the bottoms know what's needed. Teams at the top know what's needed. Teams coming in the playoffs know what's needed. So they make the game that bit more tighter, more intense, and more of an emotional commitment by everybody, because they can sort of work it out. So that adds a bit of volume in the arena when you step into there. And how things are commentating, you know, things that happen, the commentators go up higher with the voices, or lower, or show so much emotions, because they know what the game means to what it would probably be at the start of the season. So we know that, and whilst we can't control that, it's just about controlling the controllables, which is ourselves inside here. So really at this stage of the season, it's just maintaining the focus, maintaining the calmness, and keeping the level of consistency going. Any of those, what you've said, Ricky, is that I can't determine that, but what I can just do is just keep focused on what we're doing here at Sheffield Wednesday and leave all the maths to yourself.
Don't do that. Obviously got a bit of a headache tomorrow, obviously with Malik being out. You've got Callum and Michael, both presumably fit to start.
Yes.
You know, like I said, it's a nice headache to have though, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at the time to lose him and to have those two fit and available as well, really, it's a nice position. But I'm still going to be greedy. I still want Malik. I still want Josh back into it. But so those are it. But under the basis of what we've got here tomorrow, to have those two available, and Lee Gregory, you know, it's you know, we got the support that we needed in those front areas.
Obviously, we were talking to Callum an hour ago or so. Sounded like he was chomping at the bit to get back. He's now back. How did you rate that 45-minute cameo?
Ricky, I thought he did well, you know, considering I think testament to him, the way he's been working. We spoke about the volume in training that he's been needing to have, and he's been showing a level of that really consistently. And we wanted to give him like sort of over like up to at least 30 minutes in the game. But he was able to do the 45 minutes, and I thought he showed a level of strength, power, an appetite for the game. He'd been chomping at the bit to get back, but you kind of like putting the reins on him really, in terms of it. But last week on Monday was the right time to unleash him and play. And as I said, he's played it. He's trained this week. He's looking good. So hopefully he'll continue being ready and available for the team as and when we need it.
Obviously, Burton tomorrow, like you said, one of your former clubs. That was where you finished your playing career, didn't you? When you go back there, do you kind of get memories that come flooding back? Because obviously that was where your career ended.
Nice memories, and the final club for me to finish my playing career. I think 2012 when it finished. I think it was.
Yeah.
So.
Right, yeah.
So really good. Still very much got one or two people I'll see there tomorrow that very grateful of, that are still at the club. As I said, it's a wonderful family-run club. Everybody buys into the vision that Ben Robinson, the chairman, set there, and it's just a wonderful, solid club that's very proud of their status coming up from the non-league and stabilise themselves as a professional football club, a well-run football club, and credit to them. So it's nice for me to go back there tomorrow, and I'll have wonderful fond memories of my time there, because things subconsciously come back into your memories of your time there. But obviously, as I said, I've got a sole focus and purpose on here at Sheffield Wednesday. But it'd be nice to go back in there tomorrow and see everybody.
Yeah, good stuff. And just lastly, just in terms of the chairman, is he back in Thailand now?
Yeah, he's returned back home to be with his family. But obviously he's left the door open that he could return at any time soon. Really great having him here, Ricky. It really is good for me to have that one-on-one with him, and me being in Sheffield, living in Sheffield, and him staying in Sheffield. It's been good, because some of the evenings when we've broken away from work and that, it's been nice to see him and us just have that one-on-one time, really. So, and even when he does come here, he's very busy here himself. He isn't like sort of sitting here twiddling his thumbs. He's very busy getting hands-on with the club and hands-on with the other sort of employees here at Wednesday, as well as he's got family here as well that he's committed to. So to grab the time what I do with him, even though he's busy here, it's really good. But at this moment in time, he's gone back to be back at home with his family, and he's left the door open that he could return anytime soon.
I was going to say, from the outside looking at it, it looked as though he signed it to go back and then come back potentially for the running, which is obviously only 3 weeks away now, isn't it, at the end of the season? Yeah,
I'm not sure, Ricky. I've just left it like that. Whether he's going to come back now, we could be talking now, and he could be in transit here, coming back now, really, or it could be next week. So I'm not sure, but listen, we all know his commitment and his desire for the football club is there, and you talk about a club running from top to bottom, then he certainly is leading the way, and we're just picking up pointers off him, really, in terms of his determination, desire for the football club. So, and I can echo that, because I know that's what he wants for the football club.
Good stuff. Cheers, and good luck tomorrow, Dan.
Cheers, Ricky. Thank you.
Hi, Darren. Afternoon.
Afternoon, Stu. You okay?
Good, thank you. You?
Yes, I'm fine, thanks. Yeah.
Good. Darren, you often hear it said about this time of the season that it's just all about results. Results are all that matters. But when you were giving that sort of mini analysis to Gids about the last 3 draws, was that perspective important for you during that sort of winless run, that you were looking at performances as well?
Yeah, and Stu, that's always been my metaphor, really, in terms of, because sometimes, from an emotional point of view, you might can miss some important messages in a game that might just give you the answers for the next one. And usually, if you can detail yourself in the performance, it can keep you on track. Otherwise, you can sort of kind of lose your mindset and take you away from it, really. And it's my job, really, that when things may seem a certain way outside, it's having the ability to look through that and see that actually at Cheltenham, bar from a couple of mistakes, we was okay. Actually, at Lincoln at home, we were solid enough, bar one lapse of concentration, which was a mistake by us again. The performance, when you analyse it, was okay. And then certainly looking at the Oxford game, again, the way we started it, being in the arena and sitting in that technical and standing in that technical area, you felt it again. So it was maintaining that and letting the players see that, because, as I said to you, we've got to emotionally be in it with them. and what might be deemed outside, we have the real insight being in the dressing room and getting the moment and the emotional state of the game, even though it may be perceived a certain way. I suppose as the professionals, that's what we're paid to do and see and be in the arena. And certainly many different sports, men and women along the way will have their own psychological point in their arena, whether it be a tennis match, boxing, or whatever it may be. It's the same with football. It's being in the arena and sort of when all this is going off and, and making a perception of a certain incident, we know the real true meaning of that incident, and it's being able to communicate that to the players on a psychological point of view, because ultimately they're the ones just got to go across that white line and believe in the terms of the performance they put in and making sure they're adding to that performance. And I think if you look back at those 3 games going into the Accrington game, I think when you break it down now and you look back at those points, you'll see there were positive points for us as a team going into the Accrington game. And to get the 3 points, it was excellent. But what we don't do is rest back our laurels on the Accrington games, because we know that every single game we've had to turn the page and look to build on it. And certainly that's what we've done now. We've closed the book on the Accrington game because we're here. We've got this other game to focus on tomorrow, which we know will be another tough game, but we've prepared as we always done. Stu, at the start of the season, our mindset and mentality, we've always had to win games, so that's not changed, and our preparation's not changed in terms of it. We've gone into as much detail as we can with any other team as we have for the Burton game, but we know that tomorrow we have to perform.
And at this stage of the season, whether you're going for promotion or fighting relegation or whatever, is that when this perspective and the discipline to keep that perspective is most important?
Yeah, I suppose it's most important, because I suppose it's not so much inside the football club. I suppose it's the outside influences where, you know, like I said, people can almost see the finishing line in distance. So it's that, but it's maintaining that level of professionalism within it, because there's nothing really changed at the start, there's nothing really changed in the middle, and there's nothing really changed at the end. It's just making sure that you're looking after the small details in improving individuals and as a group, but it doesn't change the dynamics. And the reason why I talk about the small details is because the small details matter the most, because it's showing a level of improvement, because we just want to max out what we are from where we was at the start of the season to when we come at the end of the season. And with that, it takes an element of concentration, consistency, and improving on those small details. And I think that's the pointers that we've pointed out this season and continue to do so.
And just to go back to Callum Patterson, who a couple of the lads have mentioned, you could easily have let him go in January, could have freed up some budget to refresh the squad. Why was it so important that you kept him at the club?
Multiple positions he plays, the age that he is, the contribution that he makes to the team. Again, with the recruitment process with Pato, Callum Patterson can play equally along the front line as he can in midfield, as he can in defence. And there's not too many of those players around and play those positions really, really well. And we've seen him deputising those positions over the course of the 2 years he's been here. So to let that type of player go, calibre of player go, would be really, really silly of us, really. So to keep him in the building and you still see him committed to the cause and contributing to the cause is great testament to him. His mindset and mentality is absolutely superb, and we're pleased he stayed on.
And yeah, I mean, you mentioned mindset. It takes a certain selflessness, doesn't it, to not just to do those jobs, but to really get stuck into them and do them properly. So I just wondered how important the right characters in a squad are, because it must be difficult at times. You must see a player who's got loads of talent, but maybe doesn't have the right character to fit in your group. So how difficult and how important is it to get the balance so that you've got players like Patterson and Palmer and Bannon, who are clearly really good personalities to have in the squad?
Yeah, excellent. And to give you a mindset, sometimes you can play a player in a out of position, and the player might not want to play in that position because he wants to play in his position because he wants to show everybody the qualities he can bring for the team. That's not been the case here. And I can give you an isolated situation with Callum Patterson last season. Callum, I needed to play centre-back, right-hand side centre-back of a 3. No problem, Gaffer. All I just want to just put me anywhere in the team. I just want to play. that's the mindset mentality you need. And I can give you an insight into the individual, because that's what it takes. And if he or any other player says, no, I want to play in this position, it's not because he doesn't want to play for the team and the club. He wants everybody to see in his rightful position that he can play and play it well. But he's had to sacrifice himself and play in that side. And I remember us going down there and coming away with a clean sheet, 0-0, and him playing at centre back when we'd lost Luongo to a red card and performing really, really well. So those kind of mindset and mentality adds to the culture that you bring into the football club. And there's definitely been a dynamic change in the culture and mentality of the football club. And it's individuals like Pato as the group, and I can speak to them all as an individual, sort of buying into that, because it's been sort of selfless in terms of contributing to the team. And that's always been my message to the group, how important that is for us as a team, and for us to be progressive as a team and a football club moving forward. And that will always remain a message throughout the football club.
Great. Thanks very much for your time, Darren. Good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, Stu. Cheers, guys. Thank you.